You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this is your Red Pill News. I hope that everyone is having a lovely day. We've got several different stories to get into today. Some interesting information about John Durham that my friend Hulkinator turned me on to. We've also got several tweets from a couple of these posts that came in. Also some breaking news regarding Representative Ilhan Omar, as well as some press releases from the Justice Department regarding some Chinese spies. Also, couple of quick stories regarding Comey and his spy in the White House, Nancy Pelosi and how she is telling the Democrats to speak when Mueller is in the building tomorrow, and finally also Boris Johnson is now officially the Prime Minister of the UK, so I think that bodes well for us learning about Spygate. We're going to hear about this and more. I'll be right back after a quick word from my sponsor. It only takes one major disaster to remind us how fragile life is and our systems are. Recent earthquakes in California have done just that for many people. Life can change in a flash, and all too often it does. When emergencies strike, are you prepared for the days without electricity and stores being damaged or closed? Well, if not, today's a good day to make a plan and prepare for those disasters. I've done this myself, and I started with building a food storage plan. I trust and use My Patriot Supply, and I think you should too. This month, they're running a sale price for a 2-week emergency food kit on my special website, preparewithredpill78.com. You can save 40% when you click the link in the description below and order it today. It gets shipped discreetly to your home. These 2-week emergency food kits include breakfast, lunches, dinners, and they last up to 25 years in storage. Preparing for emergencies with My Patriot Supply is the smart thing to do, and if you do it now, you'll save 40% at preparewithredpill78.com. That's preparewithredpill78.com. All right, so the first post we're going to go over, post 3464, dark to light, pedophilia, child trafficking, Satan worshiping, bloodletting of children. Dark to light, hunters become the hunted. This is not another 4-year election. Now, our favorite Anon links to a post by Kevin Shipp, a CIA whistleblower, and he says that all of these things in plain view, but I say to you, the rest who are in Theratia, who do not hold this teaching, who have not known the deep things of Satan, as they call them, I place no other burden on you. This is from Revelations 2:24. A couple of disturbing images. We are familiar with all of these things, and it just goes to show you that this is not simply a political battle. This is a spiritual war that we were engaged in. Now, post 3465, a protester with a Q shirt in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Q says, where we go one, we go all. We the people, Q. Let's take a look at that. And this is from Texas Trump Girl, Never Silent. I actually retweeted this yesterday, so that's pretty cool that Q picked it up. Let's go ahead and take a listen to the video.
Something in place so that you can get your money back.
Look at that Q shirt, San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Worldwide. This is a global movement, guys. How cool. All right, next post, 3466. Never interfere with an enemy when he is in the process of destroying himself. Right there. And that is a quote from Napoleon Bonaparte. It's actually never interfere with an enemy in the process of destroying himself. These people are stupid. Enjoy the show. Yep, that is exactly what we are doing. And then a redrop right here, 3467, love of country photo, beautiful image of middle America, several houses, all with American flags, and they are clean and crisp. These are true patriots right here, people who actually appreciate their country and the things that we have sacrificed to attain the level of freedom that we have today. We are so lucky to live in the greatest country that has ever graced God's green earth. And for the people who don't believe that, well, you guys are going to find out rather quickly just how wrong you are. All right, now, I'm sure you'll all remember John Durham. We've been speaking about John Durham on this channel for several months, since the very beginning of the year, maybe the end of 2018. But Hulkinator showed me something that I thought was very interesting. I don't remember if I saw this before, but he's been acting since October 27th, 2017. That's a nice long time. The way that they've spoken about him, you'd think that he only just got involved rather recently. But if you'll remember that date, October 27th, 2017, why does that sound familiar? Well, that's because the very first post from our favorite ANON was on October 28th, 2017. HRC extradition already in motion, effective yesterday, with several countries in case of cross-border run. Passport approved to be flagged effective 10:30 at 12:01 a.m. Expect massive riots organized in defiance and others fleeing the U.S. to occur. USMs will conduct the operation while National Guard activated. U.S. Marines, proof check, locate a National Guard member and ask if activated for duty 10:30 across most major cities. Now, we know that there is that classified information that was leaked through the Army showing that there is an operation taking place in Washington, D.C. right now. So National Guard has been activated. The Marines are there and the Army is there backing them up. Now, we're going to take a look at some more information from that in just a second, but I did want to draw your attention to this. Post number 918. Remember, this was a post of with President Trump's Twitter about North Korea, and someone comments, "I swear Trump is killing me here. Haha, he keeps putting out clues. He has already talked to Kim." And our favorite Anon Q says, "You are learning how many coincidences before it becomes mathematically impossible. Then it says, wait until you learn who has been talking to you here." Now, I always assumed that was President Trump. President Trump is here because that's Q plus, in my opinion. But now that we know that John Durham took over as U.S. Attorney on October 27th, and then Q started posting on October 28th, wouldn't it be cool if it was actually John Durham who was the one doing the talking? Just food for thought. Now next, right here, we have some posts from Hulkinator. Hulkinator sent me these. This is from someone in D.C., and he says, "There is crap going down. Trump preparing for civil unrest and martial law. Thinking this is Mueller, just me thinking. Blackhawks most of the day in D.C. Federal buildings and White House area still getting updates. The person telling me works as an advisor in D.C., but not involved. Will update here when I hear more. I am thinking it has to do with the Mueller appearance. My friend told me that they work in D.C. They were told martial law would be in place by Trump. They, too, were thinking Mueller could be the reason why. Blackhawks are present. We'll get updates from her as soon as she gets the info." So this is someone talking directly to a contractor in D.C. They are all freaking out because of all this military activity. All they're being told is that President Trump is preparing to call martial law. Now, he would only need to call martial law in D.C. proper to round up all of the bad guys, all of the cabal members in the government. So we're just going to have to keep a close eye on this, and hopefully, guys, it is really going down. And right here is footage from Dr. Danielle Blumenthal of helicopters flying overhead. This is in D.C. near the White House. This is what the contractors are freaking out about because it is not normal for this much air activity, especially a bunch of military choppers like this. Now here, guys, we have a little clip from our friend and fellow researcher Methods. He says, check out this intro for DJT. Let's take a look. This is Donald Trump this morning going to speak at Turning Point USA in Washington, D.C.
Please come in. This is Marine One. Be advised, Eagle is inbound. I repeat, Eagle is inbound.
Okay. President Trump want an entrance. Gotta love it. That's like some pretty modern music for the president to come in over. I was sitting here bouncing in my chair, arms in the air. Gotta love it. Okay, moving on. Now, as promised, Breaking News Live is reporting that Representative Ilhan Omar's campaign have reportedly sent threats to various people and companies who who have clear evidence of her being married to her brother and engaging in serious immigration and tax fraud. This is not the first time that we've heard this. Apparently, there was a lot of talk in the community, the Somali community, saying that if they spoke about Representative Ilhan Omar in a negative way, or talking about the fact that, she was married to her brother, or there was tax fraud, that they were going to be excised from the Somali community. Now, just one more update. It looks like the House Ethics Committee have filed a complaint against Representative Omar over potential immigration, marriage, and tax fraud. Guys, this is it. It is happening. She is going to be exposed, and she is going to be pushed out of this country, because all of these things are deportable offenses if you are an immigrant. Now, from the Justice Department, 4 Chinese nationals and a Chinese company have been indicted for conspiracy to defraud the United States and evade sanctions. Look at this. Look at Russia. Don't look at China. Let's take a look. So it looks like a federal grand jury has charged 4 Chinese nationals and a Chinese company with violating the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, a conspiracy to violate IEEPA and defraud the United States, conspiracy to violate, evade, and avoid restrictions imposed under the Weapons of Mass Destruction Proliferations Sanctions Regulations, and conspiracy to launder monetary instruments. The indictment returned yesterday by a federal grand jury in Newark, New Jersey charges Ma Zhihong, her company, Da Dang Hongjinggong Industrial Development Company, and 3 of DHID's top executives with violating the IEEPA, conspiracy to violate the IEEPA, and that money laundering. Through the use of more than 20 front companies, the defendants are alleged to have sought to obscure illicit financial dealings on behalf of sanctioned North Korean entities that were involved in the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. So, this is going to be bad news for this woman, her company, and all of the people involved with it. All right, now, remember yesterday we exposed here on this channel, direct from Paul Sperry, that James Comey had a spy in the White House. And this article from the Gateway Pundit talks about how Comey carved out an unprecedented position for his covert agent with access to the White House. Now, according to a new explosive report by investigative journalist Paul Sperry, former FBI Director James Comey was investigating Trump on the sly and used a covert agent in the White House to relay information about Trump back to the Bureau. DOJ Inspector General Michael Horowitz is expected to release his report in early September, showing evidence indicating that James Comey was misleading Trump about being a target of an investigation. That covert agent, his name was Anthony Ferrante, who Comey brought in to spy on Trump and his aides and relay information back to the Bureau, was able to retain his clearances after he left his FBI position and went to work in the White House in cybersecurity, said Paul Sperry. Comey carved out an FBI reserve position for Ferrante, and the Obama holdovers helped keep him in the loop, even though it conflicted with the DOJ's non-contact policy between the White House and the DOJ. Here's how Comey made sure Ferrante was still able to slither around the Bureau via investigative reporter Paul Sperry. At the time, Comey was personally scrutinizing the president during meetings in the White House and phone conversations from the FBI. He had an agent inside the White House working on the Russia investigation, where he reported back to FBI headquarters about Trump and his aides, according to officials familiar with the matter. The agent, Anthony Ferrante, who specialized in cybercrime, left the White House around the same time Comey was fired and soon joined a security consulting firm where he contracted with BuzzFeed to lead the news site's efforts to verify the Steele dossier in connection with that defamation lawsuit. Knowledgeable sources inside the Trump White House say Comey carved out an extraordinary new position for Ferrante, which allowed him to remain on reserve status at the FBI while working in the White House as a cybersecurity advisor. In an unprecedented action, Comey created a new FBI reserve position for Ferrante, enabling him to have an ongoing relationship with the agency, retaining his clearances and enabling him to come back in to Bureau headquarters, said a former National Security Council official who requested anonymity. Between the election and April 2017, when Ferrante finally left the White House, the Trump NSC division supervisor was not allowed to get rid of Ferrante, he added, and Ferrante continued working, in direct conflict with the no-contact policy between the White House and the Department of Justice. Another FBI official, Jordan Ray Kelly, who previously worked for then FBI Director Robert Mueller, replaced Ferrante after he left the White House. Sperry says Jordan Ray Kelly would sign the security logs for Ferrante to keep entering the White White House as a visitor while he was working at BuzzFeed. Kelly then left her position last year and joined her partner in crime, Ferrante, at FTI Consulting. But there's more. Enter the Obama holdover Tashina Gaur, who remains a top national security advisor at the Justice Department. Working with Comey liaison Ferrante at the NSC in early 2017 was another Obama holdover Tashina Gaur, who remains a top national security advisor at the department. In January 2017, Gaur assisted former acting Attorney General Sally Yates in the Flynn investigation. Later, she helped Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein resist initially Trump's orders to fire Comey. Gaur also took copious notes during her meetings with White House lawyers, which were cited by Mueller in the section of his report dealing with obstruction of justice. This isn't the first time that Comey created a position at the FBI for an individual to help him carry out his failed coup attempt against President Trump. Comey previously gave his classified Trump memos to a law professor friend named Daniel Richman, who then went on to leak the memos to the New York Times in order to prompt a special counsel investigation into President Trump. When pressed about giving classified memos to Richman, who presumably didn't have a security clearance, Comey said that Richman was actually an unpaid FBI official and was given special government employee status. According to Paul Sperry, Comey was running a counterintelligence assessment on Trump on the sly. Comey didn't even need to keep files or get surveillance warrants on Trump. He may have just covertly made Trump the subject of investigation by spying on him incidentally. Comey, of course, denies he did this in the book entitled A Higher Loyalty, but we all know the truth. It's quite obvious exactly what Comey was doing. He was squirming around through the Justice Department, through the FBI, through the White House, squirming through all of these rules and regulations and making things up as he went along. James Comey is as dirty and slimy as they come. He is the perfect representation of the swamp. I'm so glad that James Comey is no longer in government, and I really hope that very soon we're going to see charges against this real piece of work. Now, before we take a look at the story about Nancy Pelosi and what she's asked the Democrats to do with regards to Mueller, this tweet right here, 15 hours ago, came out, and it talks about how Anthony Scaramucci and Rod Rosenstein were in the same law class at Harvard. This is Rod Rosenstein's reply. Things are not always what they seem. The first appearance deceives many. The intelligence of a few perceives what has been carefully hidden. And that's from Plato. Well, what does that mean? I think that perhaps Rod Rosenstein is giving us a little hint as to his true motivations. He appeared to be working against Trump the whole time, but he was actually appointed in the Trump administration. So Rod Rosenstein here is probably on our side this whole time. And I think that tomorrow, when Mueller it gives his testimony, I think we're going to find out exactly what was hidden with him as well. All right, so it has been revealed. Pelosi sent out a 6-page memo to House Democrats on the goals and the talking points for the Mueller testimony on Wednesday. Democrat Speaker Nancy Pelosi released a 6-page report to all House Democrats on Tuesday in preparation for the testimony on Wednesday of Special Counsel Robert Mueller in front of the House Judiciary Committee. The talking points blames Russia, saying the Russian government attacked the U.S. elections and Trump and his campaign welcomed and sought Russia's help to win. Pelosi also accuses Russia of using information warfare to sow discord in the 2016 election. Russia spent around $70,000 on Facebook ads that did not change one vote in 2016. Democrats are lunatics. Here we are, the actual pages of this memo exposing the truth. We can see here that Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report uncovered the truth behind one of the most serious attacks on our democracy. Basically just propaganda warfare for the Democrats to use when they get Mueller in front of them. Keep hitting these points. Says all of Congress should be able to agree that we need to protect our national security, secure our elections, and defend our democracy. All of this is code for getting Trump out of office, yet Republicans in Congress continue to stand in the way of action. Not one single House Republican voted in support of H.R. 1, while Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell continues to brag that he is the grim reaper of our House legislation, refusing to take up our vital legislation to strengthen our national security and shield our democracy from foreign attacks. What's more, congressional Republicans are complicit in the obstruction of legitimate congressional investigations and the president's ongoing disregard for the rule of law. All of it lies. All of it lies. So this is all the Democrats have accomplished since taking over the House of Representatives. Conspiracy theories, harassment, and witch hunts. What a disgrace. So yeah, this is basically just a bunch of propaganda. All they want to do is get Trump out of office. They're looking for anything they can find to impeach him. But guess what, guys? It is not going to happen. Pelosi and the Democrats are ineffectual. They will not get anything done because we hold the Senate. All right, and one more tweet from Methods, which is a preface to the next story. A former juvenile court judge named Tracy Hunter went limp and was forcibly removed from court after being sentenced to jail time on Monday in Cincinnati, Ohio. She was accused of giving her brother confidential records. This is just an incredible sight to watch. We're going to go ahead and check the video right now. Well, it doesn't sound like they're too happy that justice was served. Let's look in this a little deeper in an article from the Gateway Pundit. All right, courtroom chaos. Shouting erupts as former judge dragged out of court after being sentenced to jail. A former juvenile court judge, Tracy Hunter, went limp and was dragged out of the court by a bailiff after being sentenced to jail on Monday. Chaos erupted in the courtroom, and Hunter supporters began shouting as the former judge was forcibly taken out of the building. Hunter was sentenced to 6 months in prison and 1 year of community service after she used her position as a judge to give her brother, who was also an employee of the juvenile court and about to be fired for allegedly striking a young offender, confidential records. Tracy Hunter was actually convicted and found guilty in 2014 and was supposed to be sentenced in 2016, but several appeals have delayed that sentencing. When Judge Dinkelacke announced Monday that Hunter would be taken into custody, all hell broke loose. One of Tracy Hunter's supporters rushed to the defense table and was stopped and arrested. Hunter's supporter, who was wearing a black T-shirt that read, "Justice for Judge Tracy M. Hunter," was cuffed and removed from the court. Hunter's supporters gathered outside of the Hamilton County Courthouse and said what happened to Tracy Hunter is racial injustice. No, it sounds to me like it was justice served because she broke the law. NBC News has more info on the background of Tracy Hunter's years-long case. The case stems from the former judge's brother, Stephen Hunter, who worked as a youth corrections officer. Stephen Hunter allegedly struck a young offender on the job on July 7, 2013, leading to the officer's boss to recommend his firing. Tracy Hunter improperly demanded and received documents about the teen and passed them on to her brother, prosecutors said. Tracy Hunter, who in 2010 became the first African-American elected to Hamilton County's juvenile court, has always insisted her prosecution was politically motivated. "I violated no laws. I did not secure a public contract. I did not secure employment for my brother, who worked for the court for about 7 years before I was elected judge. They need to drop these unrighteous and, I believe, unlawful charges against me," Hunter told NBC affiliate WLWT in Cincinnati on Sunday. Well, if it wasn't a real charge, then she wouldn't have been brought to court and she would not have been sentenced. So it sounds to me like it actually was a crime for giving those confidential documents to her brother. If anybody is thinking about doing something like this, just remember what happened to Tracy Hunter. Hopefully, there are more dirty judges all across America that will be in a similar situation such as her. This is not racially motivated. This is not racially motivated. This is clearly motivated by the legality of the law. All right, and finally, Boris Johnson has become the UK's next prime minister. It is now likely that the UK's activities in Spygate will be revealed. Put simply, Derek's cables exhibit sheer panic, but why is the UK ambassador melting down? There's an easy answer to anyone reasonably well informed, and that would be Spygate. What's being hidden from the general public is Derek's likely role in Spygate, Obama and Clinton's operation to illegally destroy the Trump presidential campaign and rig the 2016 presidential election. We'll get to that in a moment. But Derek also knows that a key date is just around the corner when any hope of his protection from Downing Street will disappear. That date? The 24th of July, 2019, the day when Theresa May steps down and a new UK Prime Minister, almost certainly Boris Johnson, takes over. Derek was the former ambassador to the United States from the United Kingdom, and he was the one who had those cables leaked where he was freaking out about Trump, saying a bunch of bad stuff about him, and he was clearly upset because Boris Johnson is now the Prime Minister of the UK, and once that happens, his protection leaves as Theresa May walks out the door. Put simply, on the former president's failed administration's behalf, the UK was spying on innocent American citizens within the UK, in particular George Papadopoulos. They were also permitting Obama's goons to spy on UK soil by facilitating access, intel gathering, and sharing. That's outrageous enough. What many have not yet realized, however, is that the UK government was likely spying on innocent Americans within the United States. President Trump gave us a clue how the royals in Great Britain handled the news that the UK's intel committed crimes for the former administration. The Queen stood for righteousness, while Theresa May can't be gone soon enough. Now, if you'll remember this tweet from July 8th, President Trump talks about how he was critical of Theresa May. I have been very critical about the way the UK and Prime Minister Theresa May have handled Brexit. What a mess she and her representatives have created. I told her how it should be done, but she decided to go another way. I do not know the ambassador, but he is not liked or well thought of within the US. We will no longer deal with him. The good news for the wonderful United Kingdom is that they will soon have a new Prime Minister. While I thoroughly enjoyed the magnificent state visit last month, it was the Queen who I was most impressed with. Now it looks like the UK has a new leader. And as was predicted, it is Boris Johnson. It's time to mend U.S.-UK relations that were destroyed during the former administration before President Trump. So this is great news, guys. This is really what we've been waiting for in the UK. It will shine a light on all of the things that the former leadership in the UK was participating in by helping the former president here in America to spy on not only the president of the United States as it stands now, the candidate for president of the United States then, innocent Americans then as well, and people who were caught up in this entire Spygate scandal. We are about to be redeemed, my friends, and the President and the Prime Minister of UK, as it is now, Boris Johnson, will help us do exactly that. Well, folks, I think that is all I have for you today. I want to thank everyone for joining me. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.